Hello guys, it's Chris here from the Football League Hub. So today I just wanted to give you another podcast in regards to a few updates regarding Manchester United, what's going on with the manager situation, what's going on with Ollie, is he still under pressure? What's happening with Conte now that he's close to joining Spurs, which will probably happen before this is published anyway, because it is that close. So let's just first talk about Conte and what happened with Conte and why he's ended up going to Spurs and some of the reasons around that from what I've gathered in the last 24 hours, why Manchester United weren't serious with him and, why the fans are not happy with it. And we'll discuss what's been going on with that as well. So with Conte, right, here's the thing. Spurs obviously went for him in the summer. He rejected it. And the reason why he rejected it in the summer, because he thought maybe other bigger jobs were going to come his way. He just won the Serie A. He's won the Premier League before. So, he was in that kind of mindset. And that, that's been like that even in up to the last couple of weeks. Okay. But what's happened at Tottenham is that Spurs are offering him an 18-month contract, which is incredibly short. He can make a decision if he wants to continue after those 18 months or he wants to go elsewhere. Okay. They've also offered him around 15 to 16 million pounds a year, which is a lot of money to do for 18 months. I'm pretty sure he's going to be quite successful at Spurs. I would say that, he's not going to win the title. Don't think that's too much of an exaggeration. I'm not underestimating Conte. It's just that Spurs don't have that current structure to win the league. Chelsea and Man City and the likes of Liverpool, even Manchester United, if they sort themselves out, are a higher ceiling than them. So Conte is thinking, well, I can come in here, can potentially grab a top four, can get a trophy, and I'm looking successful, and then I can move on to, another job. And even that might be Manchester United in 18 months. Who knows what happens? With football, it's incredibly fluid. Things can change as they go along. It could be PSG. There's multiple things that can happen with that. But he wanted to go to Manchester United. And that's what we want to take away from this. Is that Conte openly said that he would only go to Manchester United, but he's changed his mind on that, of course, which, that does happen, I'm afraid, even though journalists have reported to say he would only ever join United in the Premier League if it was mid-season. He can change his mind. They don't control that. So let's not insult journalists if they've gone with that way, because, it's not acceptable, okay? What's happened is that Manchester United, Conte and his camp reached out informally to see what the situation was. United said, we're still back in Solskjær. There's nothing at the moment. We might reach out in the future. But what they were, when Ollie was in trouble, so Ollie's still in trouble now, but when Ollie was close to being potentially sacked, but Ferguson and then a couple of other board members said, no, let's see what happens. They discussed Conte in quite a lot of detail. And the issue that they came about is that they were hesitant around how he was, his pragmatic style, the type of character he was. Really, in truth, it's just a load of nonsense. They didn't want Conte. So they put all these things out that you saw that they were hesitant. You saw these sort of messages, right? But none of that really makes sense. They just didn't want Conte. It wasn't the fit that they want. And then if you look at Conte, the kind of career he's had, it kind of explodes after 2 to 3 years, and that's similar to how Mourinho works. And these kind of managers will be successful short term. But what Manchester United have said is they want someone that is or could go long term. That's very difficult in football these days. Klopp potentially is probably the last one that would do that, or those sort of things. But it is incredibly difficult to find a long-term manager now. But United is still stuck in that way. They will have to change their philosophy if they want to be successful moving forward. Then they have to go to the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City. But that hasn't happened at the moment, and we're still stuck in that situation. So I get why the fans are a little bit frustrated with it. So Conte is no longer available. So he's almost signed for Spurs. That conversation, there's no point stressing about it. He's gone to Spurs. It's done, right? So you need to move on. Don't get frustrated by it. Don't start insulting the Spurs fans or doing anything like that. It's not going to help you, trust me. Just move on from it. It's happened. Manchester United have said no at the top level. There's nothing we can do as journalists or fans or, neutrals. We can't do anything, right? So it's done. Simple as that. And I know that's harsh, but that is the reality. We've got to park that away. Now, what happens to Solskjær if he loses these next few games or he doesn't put in performances against Atlanta, who are a good team, by the way, away? Won't be easy. And has a similar result to what the Liverpool game was in Manchester City. Because that's easy enough, that could happen, right? But if that does happen, then what it does is it leaves Manchester United in such a precarious position because they had the opportunity to go for Conte, which I think they might slightly regret in the longer term, but they didn't go for it. So there are a few options out there at the moment, and there's a lot of things, and I do engage with as many people as I can on Twitter or in Discord. I mean, a lot of the times people will ask me the same generic thing, so I won't reply, or they'll be abusive, and that's just Twitter because it's toxic, but it doesn't bother me, right? Let's take them one by one. So let's look at Zidane first, because a lot of people want Zidane, right? In the 4 years that he's managed at Madrid, he's won multiple trophies. He's won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. So there is no doubt in his qualities as a coach or a manager, right? He's got the ability and the tools to be able to put Manchester United back on the map. I don't want to hear that he can't coach or he can't manage. Zidane is the perfect candidate. He would be the one that I'd want. Now, a lot of people who are just saying that he wants the French job, he won't go anywhere near United. Now, they're half true with that. The issue that Zidane would have to go to Manchester United is it's coming out of his comfort zone, and he's still fairly new in his manager experience. I know he's had 4 years at Madrid, but he knows the club inside out. He used to play for them. So it's quite easy to do that. So he was never in 2018, he said he wasn't keen or he didn't have any desire to go to the Premier League. Things changed, right? So Mourinho never said he wanted to go to Tottenham, and Conte said some bad words about Tottenham, but they went there. So football changes. You can't take that comments now. If United ended up sacking Ollie because of these next 2 results, which could potentially happen, because he has been told that he needs to go and do good performances in the next 3 games. You can reply back to me as much as, no, that's not true. He's going to stay to the end of the season. I can confirm that is the case, right? But if he goes and gets sacked, then what will happen then is Manchester United are in a position where they could have been with Conte, is they would have to make some sort of appointment. Whether or not that is similar to what Tottenham are doing at Manchester United, Tottenham are doing with Conte, maybe they offer him an 18-month contract and then he goes and takes the France job. And then they look for the long-term manager that they want. Now, that is a possible solution that they would have discussed. I can tell you that now. But it's going to take a lot of convincing to get Zidane to go to Manchester United, because it's taking him out of his comfort zone from Madrid that's quite easy to win trophies to United, where they have the squad to win trophies, but it's a different league for him, so he might take time to adjust, okay? But I'm just telling you now that Zidane hasn't said flat out no to Manchester United, okay? So if Man United approached him, then there would be conversations. They haven't done that yet. There's no dialogue, and it's extremely quiet, which, Zidane hasn't said, no, I don't want the Man United job. There's been nothing from his camp. There's been nothing from United. So I don't rule that out, and I know that it's been discussed at a good level around Zidane and what he's done with some of the players. If you look at Varane and Ronaldo and some of the players that he's done, he got the best out of them. So that is definitely in their mind. It's just not at a stage where it's going to be released to the media or stuff's happened, because they're still back in Solskjær. So at the moment, there's that with Zidane, but I wouldn't say, I get a lot of tweets where people, he's going French job, he's not going to do this. You can't rule that out, because there are a lot of positives for him going to Manchester United, and it's probably the most comfortable club that he could go to if he didn't go to Madrid. Okay, there's Juventus, but they're not going to get rid of Allegri right now. So that's a pointless one. But they've got the likes of Varane, Pogba, Ronaldo, Martial's still there. I know people don't like him very much, but he can still get the best out of him. I don't know his relationship very much with Ferguson. There's been a few photos, but again, he could go and manage players that he's managed before. So there is the potential, right? So Zidane's not out of the question. Now, the next one you look at is Pochettino at PSG. PSG are the top of the table, the top of the Champions League, but they're not without issues, okay? So the style of play, people are not enjoying his football. He's taking time. Well, the PSG director defended him because he felt he had to. If there wasn't any noise, he wouldn't have needed to do that. So there are issues within the club When they make statements like that, there's problems. So Pochettino is massively liked at Manchester United. They like the way he is, right? He's quiet, he doesn't stress, he doesn't get you could say he's a yes man. I don't necessarily agree with that. That's fine. United fans can say that. That's up to them. Ferguson loves him, which Ferguson has too much influence still in the club. They need to change the structure of it because there's been some decisions at late which have involved some individuals that shouldn't be the case. So Poch is liked by the top level of Manchester United. Okay, now what United are hoping for, and I know this is not the greatest thing for the United fans, but I have to be transparent with you because I don't want to tell you something that isn't true or something to lead you on. That's not me. Other accounts can go and do whatever they like. What United are hoping is that Solskjær somehow survives till the end of the season, because they would like to have Pochettino next season. I can tell you that now because they missed out on him the last time. They don't want to miss out on him again, and they feel that Pochettino can move them forward. I don't know if he can, but as I said, that is something that they believe that they can do at top level. Okay, but it's going to be incredibly difficult if Solskjær gets sacked now and PSG get rid of Poch. The only way that could happen is if there's a twist in this, and there's quite a domino effect. If Zidane ends up saying, maybe I'll go to PSG, I'll have a couple of discussions with them, then Poch would say, okay, I'm thinking about going to Manchester United, there's an offer there. If Poch was available after the Liverpool game, Ollie would have been sacked. And that's the truth. There is no doubt at all. That is the number one person that they've always wanted. And at some point, he's going to manage Manchester United. I know it for sure. Because the Glazers would like him. He looks the part. He's the type of manager that they would want. He did a quite good job at Spurs. I would just say that, if it's at the end of the season, that's the likeliest of appointments. So there is Pochettino, but at the moment he's top of the leagues, respectively, in the Champions League ahead of Man City, and he's around 10 points with a game more played than any other club. But they are top of their league. So, unfortunately, it doesn't look like that would happen straight away. It might happen at the end of the season, depending on how Solskjær gets. But that's what the Glazers would want. Otherwise, he would have been sacked up to the 5-0. Okay, and you can understand the reasons around it now. And sort of the update that I got is that Poch would be one of the number one choices. I know a lot of people don't want him, but I'm trying to be transparent. Is that would be what the Glazers would be thinking about? Okay, and Ollie's done a lot of good work in stabilising the club, but he's not the guy to drive it forward. I have said before, some people can construct and build a house, but they don't live in it permanently. They don't sit down and watch the TV and eat the food. They're the ones that just construct the house and leave the keys for someone else. And that's the kind of thing he's done. He's built the foundations. But I would say this, that it couldn't go on. If it goes on any further, then those foundations start crumbling. So, the whiting needs to be on the wall and the Glazers need to look at that as soon as possible. Now, there's a couple of other candidates as well. So there's obviously Ten Hag from Ajax, who's doing some fantastic work at Ajax, and he's a perfectionist. Even after winning 4-5-1 or something like that against Dortmund, he was still looking at critical parts of the game. He's very intricate in what he does. His football is free flowing and an attack, and they've sold a lot of players, and they're still looking more impressive than they did. That's on the manager, so he is another perfect candidate. The only thing I'd say about that is he's got a great relationship with Ajax. Manchester United have got a great relationship with Ajax, and they would love to keep it. Although the Donny van der Beek situation has made it a little bit, a little bit harder. But again, they've still got a great relationship. Sometimes that happens. But he wouldn't move now. He would move at the end of the season. But Manchester United haven't really spoken in detail around him. There is interest there. He's a perfect candidate. But they think he probably needs to improve himself and go a little bit more further until they actually look at it. So there isn't really anything with Ten Hag at the moment. But again, what I say is football's fluid, and if Poch doesn't come available, then they could grab him at the end of the season. So we might remain with Solskjær. Okay. The next one is you've got the likes of Graham Potter, Luis Enrique, and Brendan Rodgers, right? Graham Potter, there's nothing with Graham Potter. So I want to rule that out straight away. He's doing fantastic work at Brighton, but it doesn't always work out. David Moyes did fantastic work at Everton and absolutely flopped in the 7 months that he was at Manchester United. He had a good enough squad to do better than what he was doing. Right? Graham Potter still needs to have more time. I think he needs to go to a slightly bigger job than Brighton before he can take on a bigger job. I would say he's likely to take over the England job eventually in the future. That's where I see him going. Okay. Brendan Rodgers as well. He has been discussed at the club level, but again, Leicester, he's still within that project, and I don't see him as the perfect candidate to take the United forward, and they haven't really discussed that. So Brendan Rodgers, nothing. Right? Luis Enrique is a situation that could come apparent, but there isn't anything there at the moment. He's still with obviously the national team and those sort of things, but he's done some great work with Barcelona. He did some great work with Spain, with some of the players. He didn't have the greatest of squads. So, he's a potential that they could look at. Wouldn't be a long-term solution again. So, there are a lot of solutions going on at the moment. All I would say is it depends on what happens with Solskjær. If he loses the next 2 games, then absolutely, he could get sacked. And then the likeliest option would be Zidane, because you couldn't get anyone else because everyone else is not freed up. So they might offer, okay, Zidane, come in for 18 months. After that, if you don't like it, there's another job out there for you, or those sort of things. So Zidane might, but they're not used to doing small contracts. I mean, they gave Wally 3 years contract for not winning trophies, or, he built what he needed to build, lost the Europa leagues, and they still gave him a 3-year contract. That still baffles me today that they gave him that long. So, they're not keen on giving short-term contracts. So that's the problem. That they need to get with the times is that, look at PSG, they did 18 months. Tottenham are doing the same. And Chelsea did a similar thing because they want to see how their managers do. So they need to start getting with the times and stop going with the old era, because they're not going to be successful. They're not going to put themselves in a position where they're going to win the Premier League anymore. As an owner of a football club, you cannot be sentimental, right? There's finances involved, there's fans involved, there's success involved. But unfortunately, what you have with the Glazers is they're not football people. If you look at Chelsea, Roman Abramovich, right? Levy, to all his faults, he does do things quicker, but he's got some faults, but it's better than Glazers to a degree. Manchester City, they're football people that, they will do things that they feel that puts them in a position to win the league or get a trophy or do better than what they're doing. But United don't do that at the moment. And it's startling because what's happened now is on Twitter, there's a massive divide between the fans. There's a lot of toxicity going on, which I don't agree with. I don't understand why United fans are attacking another United fan. You're fans of the same club. Support each other. All your views count. Your opinion does. But people decide to go and insult people. I don't quite understand why they do that. A lot of people sit behind the keyboards and start ranting and raving. That's up to you. Just don't do it around me. I'm not interested in it. I'm here to report news. If I see it, you get blocked. That's just the way I am. And we move on from there. But what I want to do and say is that these next 2 games are crucial. And I know we said Liverpool was crucial, but what happened is the Glazers said, we don't want Conte. There's no experienced coach or manager within Manchester United. Let's give him till the international break. Let's have more time to consider our options, see what's out there, and let's go from there. And, a lot of people are saying, why isn't Conte waiting a week? Because Manchester United have obviously said no to him. So he's not going to wait a week if he's been given the cold shoulder from United, which he has. And that just indicates to you that they don't want him. And I said this 2 weeks ago and last week that they're hesitant on him. And now it came out and he's gone to Spurs and they have different paths. And that's just the way it is, right? The Glazers are happy with just getting top 4 and, achieving the basics. That's just who your owners are. Eventually that might change. But as I said, these 2 games are pivotal for Solskjær. Don't think they are. They are. It doesn't... Look, people are having a meltdown on Twitter saying, oh, we're stuck with Ollie for the rest of the season. Just because Conte's gone to Spurs doesn't mean that Ollie's suddenly not under pressure. That's illogical thinking. He is still under pressure. And he's a Manchester United manager. You're always constant under pressure, right? So if he loses to Atlanta and he loses to Manchester City, then they will have to make a change. But at the moment, we're not there. They had a good game against Spurs, although Spurs looked horrible under Nuno, so they deserve to get sacked. Kane looks like he's disinterested. There's a lot of issues at our club that Conte has to resolve early on. So that was the perfect game for Spurs, really, because it was quite an easy win, and I thought they would win that because of the way they put it out. He changed his tactics. It worked. Simple as that. But Atlanta and Manchester City are going to be a little bit harder. Manchester City will be a crucial game. And many people have said they're going to be crucial games. So he needs to perform in those two games. And look, the last thing I'm going to say, or a couple of last things I'm going to say, is that if Ollie goes and wins those two games, then yes, he's going to have more time. And I said this was my main worry for Manchester United. If they give Solskjær more time, he can buy himself out of it. And he doesn't deserve to buy himself out of it now because he's took the squad as far as he can. But the Glazers have done that. Not the fans who have got different opinions. They're not the ones you should be insulting and getting toxic about. The ones you should be protesting to are the Glazers, the owners of the club. They're the ones who make the decision of what happens with the manager. Okay? Nobody else does. Everyone else has a view and opinion of what it should be like, and it should be respected accordingly. But the Glazers are the problem. You will never ever change everything else if you have the same owners, because they're the ones who set the tone, and it goes down from Woodward, it goes down to the rest of the staff, and it goes down to the manager, it goes down to the players. So it works how that way. So you're still going to have problems, and people need to realize that they're deflecting in the wrong position. Now, Solskjær should be gone. Yes, he hasn't, but let's see what happens in the next couple of games. I will keep you updated, and I'm pretty sure we'll see what happens. But again, they've given him that time, and we'll have to see what goes and how much update we got. But just to summarize on what that is, Zidane hasn't said no to Manchester United. There could be potential there. They might be forced to speak to Zidane, which is silly because he should be anyway. Didn't like Conte, as I said, and I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. If you listen to my podcast, I'll say they were hesitant on him. Ten Hag would be end of the season. Poch, if he got sacked, they would take him now and sack Ollie. If Poch is available at the end of the season, which could be likely, then Poch could go to Manchester United and Zidane would go to PSG, likely before he goes to the French job. So there's multiple scenarios in there, and that's why United would like to keep Solskjær till the end of the season. But if performances don't improve, they will have no choice, because fans will stop going to Old Trafford. People will start moaning, and they do look at their media a lot, and there will be a lot of pressure on them from the journalists, the papers, the bad press. So they would have to make a decision. There's no sentimental around that. So as soon as we know what happens in the next two games, we've got one tomorrow. Let's see after that. We might do another podcast to see where the situation is, because it's ever evolving. And I just want to tell you guys, please keep calm, right? You need to stop stressing, stop worrying about other fans, how they're criticizing you, stop being toxic on Twitter. It's not going to help you. The amount of toxicity on my timeline now, I don't want to look at Twitter anymore, because people are just toxic to each other, to the fans. You're supporting the same club. So get behind each other, have your own views. If you don't respect it, fine. You don't need to insult people. And that is just the way it is. So I'll keep you updated after the Atlanta game. Just wanted to touch base. Make sure that you do subscribe to my channel for any updates. If you subscribe to follow my Twitter, Avenger Snake or Football League Hub. We've got an Instagram. Just keep an eye on our videos that come out, so that make sure you've got the notification bell on so you can see that. Any updates. Come into our Discord. We have a lot of heated conversations, and it is actually a safe place for you outside of Twitter. And let me know what you think about Manchester United's current situation in the comments, who you would like as the manager. And I will see you in the next podcast. I know it's been relatively brief, but I wanted to give you a bit of clarity today. Make sure that you have a good day tomorrow with the game, and let's see from there. And I might update you tomorrow evening after the game, and let's see accordingly. Well, thank you guys for listening. I know you've listened to me a little bit, quite a lot. So I appreciate that, and make sure you have a good evening.